Hey guys, Haddy the Creator here, creating something new to share with you, and today's video is sponsored by San Joaquin Press. They sent me this book, Medflies, and I told them I would illustrate a scene from it. I gave it a read through and I'm excited to share some of it with you. So let's jump over to Photoshop and create some art. So the first thing I'm going to do is just set up my document and draw out some quick perspective lines that help me visualize and place out the scene and to keep things in perspective. So I'm just going to start out this video by reading the back of the book. It says, I.C. Investigator Young continued his report.
In the 50 years or so the colony has been here, something over 2,000 people have been reported missing. If the natives had access to only 10% of those to study, they could have learned a prodigious amount.
Sam Carey broke in. You mean those things have been kidnapping people to study them? When Young confirmed Carey's speculation, Rachel Patterson asked,
Why do they want to study us?
I expect they want to get rid of us.
Young answered. A burst of contradictory noises came from everyone in the council chamber, the most discernible word being, why?
This is going to be hard to accept if you persist in trying to look at it from our point of view alone.
Young continued.
On Terra, many years ago, one of the most persistent pests was the Mediterranean fruit fly, or Medfly as they called it. On this planet, we are the interlopers, not the natives. We are the pests. Ladies and gentlemen, on this planet, we are the Medflies.
A little bit of voice acting there for you. So I gave this book a read through. I read through most of it. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I read through enough to kind of get a good scene in my head that I wanted to bring to life and illustrate for you. So as the back of this book illustrates, the book's about a colony of people that is on a planet that they are not native to. So there is another species or another indigenous people here on this planet. At first glance, they seem kind of primitive because they don't really have the same type of sensory organs as we would expect. The ones that we have, they seem to be pretty basic species, but as they spend more time on this planet, they realize that these guys have actually some pretty intense and advanced technologies, and they are actually doing something to the humans there that are causing the women to go sterile or infertile, and so they're not able to reproduce anymore. So they go into as to why that might be, and they actually go into war with these indigenous people. And so the scene that I'm drawing here is a scene where they are fighting these creatures. So these creatures are pretty unique. They almost look like potatoes or big rock creatures. So they have 4 limbs and they are interchangeable, so they can walk on their hands or their feet. So pretty much they don't really have hands or feet, they just have 4 limbs that are the same. So you can't really tell if they're upside down or right side up, and they might not even have an upside down or right side up. It says in the book that there's one distinguishable feature that you can tell the front from the back, and that is a hole. It doesn't say that the hole is a mouth or an eye or anything like that. It just says there's a small hole in the front, so that way they know that that is the front of the creature. They do walk around on all 4s sometimes, and when they are interacting or fighting, they get up on 2 legs. They are rock-like creatures. They look like black rocks. They stay in packs with like family units in about groups of 6 or so, but this group that they're fighting in this scene, they are in a group of 9. One of them they were able to kill, which isn't shown in this picture. This is kind of after they get defeated and they leave, and then they decide to turn around and go back and to give it another shot. Some people left and ran back home, but the others decided that they wanted to end this and figure out a way to stop these guys, so they are coming back for another shot. I'll go ahead and actually just read the scene out of the book.
Okay, Randolph,
Davis said.
take us in and set us up a shot. Get one of the ones with the weapon, okay? We'll show them that these Medflies have teeth.
Randolph started the command craft forward, laboriously raising it again to 5 meters. He aimed at the cluster of them, 5 or 6 of them, all grouped together, not far from the entrance to the cave. He noticed that the one who had been on the hilltop was gone, apparently because there was no more need for a sentry, but it was hard to know what those things were thinking. When he was within 3 kilometers, he aimed at the group and singled out a target. The craft groaned forward. He wanted to be at about 2 kilometers before he fired, as distance tended to dissipate the focused sound waves. When they got to 2 kilometers, the thing still hadn't moved, not even to shift position. description. They were like statues, black rocks carved into strange figures. At one point, Davis told him to fire. It was then that he noticed that the ray gun was pointing at the command craft. In the next 10 seconds, two things happened. First, Randolph fired the sonic cannon at the biggest native he could see. Everyone stood there staring in amazement as the targeted creature literally fell or was shaken apart. So that's what the sonic cannon did. It left Rudolph a little sickened and a lot shocked. He could not identify all the organs that rolled out onto the ground, but they were bathed in a deep blue or purple liquid that must have served the natives as blood. Even the natives were frozen as their compatriots shivered into fragments. The second thing that happened was that the ray gun fired. Randolph had seen without really noticing that the coils around the gray pencil were glowing. Then everything he could see was pink. Being completely surrounded by the rich pink color was one of the weirdest experiences of Randolph's life. Then suddenly the pink disappeared and the command craft fell heavily into the ground and cantered over so that the ground was all that Rudolph could see. He heard people picking themselves up around the craft.
Is everybody all right?
He shouted. There were a lot of yeses, one or two no's. One man had hit his head sharply and was unconscious. Another had caught his hand and wrenched it pretty badly, but he was walking and ready to resume his duties. I'll go ahead and stop there. So I'm finishing up the illustration. Here's the final scene that I drew up. Some of the book takes place in that space station that you see back behind there. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty fun. It's a fun little illustration. There was a ground team at some point in the book that was down fighting these things, so that's why these guys are down here in the corner, chucking grenades and all sorts of things at these guys. It was a really intriguing story and an intense scene. So yeah, overall I thought this was a very intriguing story. I really liked reading through it. I have yet to finish the last couple chapters and I'm excited to do so. Thank you so much, San Joaquin Press, for the opportunity to review and read your book and to draw a picture from it. Thank you so much, subscribers, for checking out this video and hanging out with me as I drew a picture from this book and shared a little bit about it. Reading is a great way to expand your creativity. I love reading books and visualizing the scenes and the characters in my mind. A lot of times as I listen to audiobooks, I will doodle and draw out how I picture the scenes and the characters in my mind down on paper. And then sometimes when you see the movie adaptations from the books you've read, you think, hey, they didn't get it quite right. That's not quite how I visualized it. You may even think that you liked your version better, which is often the case. So as a creative, I would recommend to any other fellow creative to read, and read often. Whether you like reading a physical book in your hands or listening to an audiobook, either way it expands your creativity and gets your mind going and really gets those creative juices flowing. If you are curious to find out more about the book Medflies from San Joaquin Press, I will put the link to their website down below and also to the Amazon product page for this book. This has been Haddy the Creator, and I will catch you on the next video.